From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. It is episode 122, and I'm proud to be joined by the president of TASCO, as well as the head women's soccer coach of the Wylie High School Lady Pirates. He is Coach Chris Bezner. Coach, how are you?
Doing great, Hector. How are you doing?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm excited. I'm buzzing. You know, the UIL gave us a nice little podcast gift to talk about earlier today, right? We're going to get into that shortly. But how, I got to ask you before we jump into all that stuff, because we got a lot to cover. How are things, Coach? Tell us a little bit how everything is going from your program, the start of the school year. We're getting closer to the start of the soccer season, and as well as being president of TASCO. How are things?
Man, things are good, blessed, very busy, we, the school year always takes off and you really don't know what's going to happen. You've got a plan, until everything starts rolling. And, but this year it's been going well. We've got, as far as, everything at the Wylie High School and the Lady Pirate front, things are going well. The girls are working hard, training's going good. There's some changes, you've got a new energy because, old seniors moved out, right? They graduated. We got this new crop coming up and there's just a lot of excitement about the competitiveness and the competitive nature of that. So that's going well, man. Everybody's ready to rock and roll. They can't wait until after Thanksgiving and we kick off for the start, of the season. So, that's going to be a lot of fun. We're very excited about that. And then, as far as the TASCO part goes, I mean, it's been such an awesome experience and a blessing being a part of TASCO for the last 6 years. And now as president, it's here and it's a lot of fun. It is. And it's very cool and it's rewarding, but it is busy. I will tell you that. Not going to shy away from that part.
Yeah, I bet. And we're definitely going to get into all of that today. We got the convention to talk about. We got your presidency, what that's been like, number of things, just Texas high school soccer. And, one of the things that was on the agenda was to talk a little bit about the state of Texas high school soccer. Right. And then about 12:30 this afternoon, right. The soccer gods got with UIL and they gave us a nice little memento, little talking point. And for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, we're going to go ahead and bring this up right now. So earlier today, this is straight from the UIL portal. Head coaches will know exactly what we're talking about here, but excuse me. So they put out a notification that the mercy rule will go into effect. That had been a topic of conversation now for several years. But the mercy rule will go into effective this coming season, the 2024-2025 season, and that will be in play for all non-district games, district games, postseason games, all year starting this year, the 2024-2025 season. Your initial thoughts on this before we kind of dive into it a little bit more? I just wanted to bring up the document, but your initial thoughts on this, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's been one of those things that, we've been really working on in the last few years. It's been brought up. But for me, it's exciting to see that all of the concerns or the actual, the interest in doing these types of things or instilling or trying to implement, these types of rules, just all the things that go on behind the scenes. And it's just interesting to see all that come to fruition and for us to be able to, to be a part of that and to really listen to membership listen to our coaches, hear their voice, let them know that, they're being heard, and we value their opinion and what they want, the state of high school soccer to look like. And this is something that just kind of shapes that. It's just another example of the collaborative working between TASCO, between THSCA and the UIL, and that relationship. I've seen it from afar, and now being in this position, it just really is. It's impressive, and the relationship there is it's very sound. And it's such a positive thing to be able to have those types of guys in your corner, to want to make sure that, their best interest is ours, just trying to make this game, better and trying to improve it every step of the way. So really excited about it. I mean, it's exciting to finally see it come out, after lots and lots of conversations, a lot of meetings, collecting a lot of data, doing a lot of research, things like that. So, it is exciting.
Yeah. So we're going to go briefly look through, just hit on some key points. So the initial part of this, a little bit of what you spoke about, Coach, right, was so, and obviously some of you all may not be able to see this very well. It's because the font on this is very small, but we have engaged in extensive conversations with several stakeholders over the past year regarding the possibility of implementing a soccer mercy rule for all classifications and all levels of play. TASCO, THSEA, and TGCA all had all had coaches and team members that had an opportunity to give feedback, weigh in on the topic. Through this dialogue, all concerned landed on the following as a proposed playing rule change. And the rule change is this: is at 20 minutes or beyond in the second half, so 20 minutes or less in the second half, if one team has a goal differential of +8 goals or more, the game would be stopped and declared a final. So I'm going to say that again. 20 minutes remaining or less in the second half, if one team has a goal differential of 8 or more goals, the game would be stopped and declared final at that time. So that's, and that goes into effective immediately, as we had mentioned. And here's another little bit more quote. As such, we are moving forward with implementing this rule change this year for all levels of play and all classifications for the 2024-2025 season. This change is for all classifications and all games, preseason, so non-district, district, and playoffs. Finally, although some districts choose to play 25 or 35-minute halves as opposed to 40-minute halves, we felt that it was the best to be consistent with the 20-minute mark for all contests, regardless of half of length. And then the other interesting piece that needs to kind of get mentioned in here, because this will inevitably come up, is, quote, we would recommend that all coaches and game administrators continue to adhere to the posted game schedules and start all contests as closely to the agreed upon start time as possible. If an earlier sub-varsity game ends early due to an early mercy rule finish, it would probably be best for all to respect the published game time for the next contest. Thoughts on that one, Coach?
On that last piece right there about so I think what they're trying to get across there is that you've got a sub-varsity game. It ends in a mercy rule finish. So, let's say it's going to end at that 20-minute mark. If it's a JV1 game and you're playing 35-minute halves, well, then you've got 15 minutes of remaining game time. And remember, it's not always going to stop or the game conclude exactly at that 20-minute mark. That's only if you have the 8-goal differential when the clock strikes 20, right? So let's say that it's a 7 or 6 goal differential at the 20-minute mark. You're still continuing play. So even if the 20-minute mark, if the 8-goal differential, landed around, 10 minutes remaining, well, then the game would conclude at that time and you've got 10 minutes left, right? So I think what they're trying to get across there is let's go ahead and be respectful of, the officials that are involved coming from the next game. Sometimes, not always you have officials that do all 3 matches or 2 matches in one evening. Maybe there's, one guy's got to leave and another one's coming in. And, just to be respectful for the parents that are coming to the games, game administrators, things like that, all the logistics and the moving pieces stay put. All you're really going to do is just give, your varsity an extra 10 minutes of warm-up time on the field. And from what I've heard, there's a lot of a lot of teams that in their district, they might have in their DEC guidelines, like, hey, we get 10 minutes to warm up in between games. Well, this is going to give you additional time to warm up for a game, and when it's 60 degrees, that's not too bad. But whenever it's 50 degrees or 40 degrees outside, man, that extra 10 or 15 minutes, that you have to warm up prior to a varsity match, I mean, that could be beneficial.
Right. One of the questions, so some of these conversations that we actually had, this actually came up, right, was as long as and you hit the nail on the head, right? If it's if it's 60 degrees, 55 degrees, no worries, right? Everybody's fine. But if it's a Tuesday night, right, school night, and it is, I don't know, maybe we'll say 32 degrees, right, Coach? Everybody, is that pressure going to be there on the next two coaches to, hey, whether it be through officials, administrators, what have you, whatever, hey, or coaches that aren't even on the same page, right? Just as like, hey, we're ready to go. The other one wants those extra 10 minutes that you talked about. So I guess that's the other part, right? As long as we kind of work through that stuff, because it is inevitably going to come up, and just as you said, right, different districts, different minutes, different policies in play. Hopefully it doesn't lead to hopefully it doesn't become a law of unintended consequences.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I think, and with it being the first year, this is something that we're going to see. I think that if everyone would take the UIL's recommendation, right, then that would work. But I know even with rules that, have been in place for many years, you're always going to have opposing coaches, or coaches have opposing opinions, right? Whenever you come out, pre-match and you're talking to the officials, what are those conversations like, but I think as long as you understand, hey, we want to make sure that we're doing the best for the kids, we're doing the best, in our eyes, we're trying to improve sportsmanship across the state. That's a big emphasis for not only the UIL, but for THSCA, for TASCO. And so, hopefully that'll work out. But, we totally understand there's going to be times when someone's like, hey, let's go ahead, let's bump this game up. This game ended, 15 minutes early. Let's go ahead and start the varsity game 10 minutes early because I want to get back on the bus and I want to get back home. It's just, please, let's be in consideration, of the parents that are traveling to the game, or be in consideration of the officials, or, and like I said, I think the benefit is you can utilize that additional time for warm up, try to make it, turn it around, make it a positive. So,
yeah. Okay. Awesome. So moving on, tell us your TASCO presidency. How, we talked about it briefly right before we came online. You've got some big shoes to fill, right? And replacing Coach Jared Shipman out of Tompkins there, out of Katy Tompkins. But what has that been like up to this point? Obviously, you're kind of running around all over the place right now in anticipation and prepping for the convention. But up to now, has it been anything like you expected it to be, or not really?
It's kind of hard to explain because you're like, everybody that I've talked to, I've got some great mentors, just some guys that are in TASCO. I mean, Jared's definitely been one of those. As I was vice president last year, it was nothing but encouragement coming, my way from him. And he did a fantastic job last year. I've seen other presidents, do great things, before Jared, Laura, and then Gilbert. And, and we've got a lot of guys on our board that were past presidents as well, with Jimmy. And so it's been great to get all the encouragement from these guys. And, it's an open book. I'm like, hey guys, help me out here. I don't know what I need to do, at this point. But they're so good because everybody's willing to help out. It's really, the board has been so supportive and been, it's like a family, but the presidency itself has been, it has not disappointed. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work. It's definitely been very busy. It's been time consuming, but it's also been a privilege. And, being able to be in on some of those, those meetings with, Ray and Joseph, with the UIL, and then be in meetings with Libby, and, with THSCA, just being able to get their opinion and really get to know, hey, this is what we're wanting to do, and then to come back and to share this with our membership, and no matter what it is. But it's been such an honor to be able to understand. There's been a few times where I've just sat back and I'm like, oh my gosh, these, the people have, our membership has trusted me in being, an advocate for them. And, I take that serious. And, I just want to make sure I'm doing a good job. That's it. That's it. I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. And I want to make sure that that we do everything that we can to improve TASCO and make sure it's heading in the right direction, because it's been going in the right direction. We've had a steady, TASCO's been growing and just doing some amazing things, and so just for me to be able to step in and kind of help that do, to continue the trend, and that's great. And, we've got a really great board that's on, that'll be doing the same thing, long after I'm gone. So
Yeah, great. So I asked Jarrett this last year, right? So I'll ask you as well, because I'm also curious as to how it's evolved and your perspective, but your role. So when people hear president of TASCO, right? What does that mean, right? Your role, the day to day, the big picture stuff. What is the undertaking? What does that role look like in terms of being president of TASCO? Beyond the convention, obviously, but that's a major one. But beyond the convention.
yeah, I mean, honestly, the convention itself is one of the bigger responsibilities, just from a logistics standpoint. And, hey, having to put all that together and to put all the pieces together and make it work and come together for this big event that, we're wanting to host over 1,000 coaches in this one exhibit hall in this one location. So that's bring in top quality clinicians. I mean, that takes a lot of time. It's very time consuming because you want to make sure you do that right. Other than that, it's really, it's making sure that, everything else just kind of runs. And the good news about it is I don't have to do a whole lot of micromanaging, because everybody else that we have such a solid board, like they're amazing. So I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of a machine. Having seen it up close now for a couple of years,
yeah,
it's kind of a machine. Yeah,
it really is. And I think for people that might be, unfamiliar with TASCO, or, how the inner workings of the organization, take place or go on. I mean, I think, I can only say, get involved, man. Try to jump out there, try to get involved, because it is really rewarding to be able to see it up close and personal, see where we've been, where we've come from, where we're going. But just communicating with the board, making sure that they're doing the things that they need to do. I'm in communications, now kind of like the lead point from the presidency. You're the lead point for the direct line of communication from, the UIL, from the THSCA. When there are those conversations, there's things like that. You're the figurehead for that. So you just got to communicate that, make sure you're staying, on top of those types of things. And then, just making sure that the calendar runs and we get everything done in a timely manner after convention. Then it's, we move on and we kind of slow down. Things will slow down a little bit, and then we're gearing up for, everything that's going to take place throughout the playoffs, through player nominations and player awards with all region, all state. And then we get into our senior all-star event, which is, another amazing event in the spring. And then we're in May, and then, we're a state tournament, and then you go into the senior all-star game. So it's, I mean, you just kind of just move from one event to the next to make sure it works, but it's all good.
Yeah. So what's been the most surprisingly easiest and most difficult part of being president so far? Something that really surprised you in terms of, hey, this is much easier than I anticipated, and this is kind of a little bit more tricky, more difficult than I anticipated.
Well, I would say probably the easy, we'll start with the easy thing. The easiest thing, and I just hit on it before, is it's been trying to, communicate with the board. And if you have an issue or if there's something that needs to get done, I mean, it's literally as simple as, a text to that executive board member or to that regional director, and or just a general conversation. You send something out and someone just will jump up and say, "Hey, I'm all on it, man. I'll do it," And so that's been the easy part, is not having to really micromanage people as far as, hey, are you getting this done? Are you getting that done? People, they've done a really good job of taking care of all that, which helps me out. And then people are even asking me, what can they do to help me, take more on my plate. So that's been a blessing. That's been the easiest thing for me. The most difficult thing is going to be it's just been I would say, trying to juggle the time, right? So not only am I president of this awesome organization, but I'm still a teacher, still a coach, still a dad and a husband, and have the family life. So it's just been trying to balance all of those things with the amount of time that you spend. It is pretty time consuming, and especially from, I would say, probably about late July, early August until November 24th. It's going to be, it is just, it's a lot. Like it's there's a lot going on, a lot moving and shaking, but but it's been awesome.
So we shift gears here, Coach. The convention itself.
Yeah.
How has, and obviously you've been involved with TASCO for many years. You've been a Texas high school soccer coach for many years.
Mm-hmm.
How, not to date you, right? Don't want to date you there, but
It's okay.
how, from your perspective, your opinion, right? How has the convention, we'll just look in a short period, right? Since the pandemic, right? Since maybe pre-pandemic 2019 to then through the pandemic to now, how has the convention changed in your opinion?
Oh, wow. I think, it's really, I think we'll just start with pre-pandemic. I mean, pre-pandemic, things were really good. We were having a steady incline in membership and attendees for the clinic. And it was, it was heading in the right direction. And there was a lot of great things. Those guys, pre-pandemic, man, the board there and the presidency, those guys were doing some really good stuff, and it was doing great. And then of course the pandemic just kind of wrecked everybody's world, I think, from one perspective, or from many different perspectives. But for us as an organization, it was the shutdown. It was, okay, so how are we going to operate under these new guidelines? And I remember the pandemic year, I was coming in as like a second assistant or regional first assistant. I'm trying to remember, a second assistant, I think, but we had to go straight digital. So I know just in a few short months from when it was, okay, are we going to be able, because we didn't know, are we going to be able to go in person, or are we not going to be able to go in person? And when it was finally concluded that we were not able to meet, and have a physical convention, then we had to pivot. And when we went to an online platform, it was just, we were just trying to learn everything at the, right then, just right off the top of our heads. Like, it was, okay, how do we do this? How are we going to do this? And so that was a very interesting learning curve for me, just to be able to see. And it was, a good experience, just from the standpoint that we were able to see a lot of the way, just these guys coming together, these girls on the board, just making sure, hey, this is how we're going to have to make this work. But our attendance was just extremely low. So I think, maybe 2019, prior to the pandemic, we were pushing, we were around 850 some odd members attending the clinic. And then we go into, 800 members, something like that. And then we got into the pandemic, and the clinic, the online clinic, I think, we dipped down below 300. And so now you're trying to come out of that the following year. And so, in 21, it was a good rebound year. I think everybody was just ready to get back in person, and people had missed just the fellowship of being able to go and to meet with your colleagues and to see your friends and all your buddies that you coach with. And, just to be able to have that fellowship at the convention, everyone missed that. And so numbers came back up, but yet they've been growing ever since. And so it's been a lot of fun to be able to see, each year we've looked at it and gone, okay, what can we do better? What can we do that can take us to the next level? What can we do, to provide top quality, better clinicians for, our members, and what are some things that we can do at this convention, and some things stay the same. Sometimes, we keep the same schedule and things like that. But then sometimes, we don't. Sometimes we're like, hey, let's change it up a little bit. Look, we're going to offer different socials, or this year, we're going to have a women in coaching social, and or maybe this year we're going to do something different. And so, it's really cool to get the different ideas, think out of the box, and try to make it the best convention that it possibly can be. So, last year we were up pushing the 1,000 member mark, as far as attendees of the clinic. And so, and Jarrett was real excited about that, because, it was like, hey, we got to break that 1,000. And so, and this year, we have our own challenges. And so it's like, hey, our goal is, yes, we're going to try to keep pushing. Let's get even more attendees, because we want more coaches there.
Now, what was it? Excuse me, what was it last year? Because I think what I had remembered in conversation with Jimmy, right, was with Coach Kruger, was somewhere in that vicinity of a little under 1,100 total there. Like I don't know why I want to say like 1,050, 1,060, somewhere in there. Is that right? Was it somewhere in that range? What was the final count?
Yeah, so the final count, we keep track of like our paid members, right? Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, we've got coaches that'll come to the convention, and we keep track of only the ones that have been, that have paid for the convention. I don't have like an exact number in front of me of how many attended last year. But it was, like that number you said, that's the number that, I'm remembering of. We've just, crossed over that 1,000 member mark that attended, and that's including, all the different people that were there too. So, it was really, I mean, that's kind of one of those things that we've been really, it's been a focus for us, I should say, over the last several years is membership. How can we increase our membership? How can we get our members to the convention to see what we do? And how can we, allow them to see, hey, these are the benefits for coming, and we want you guys to come, and not only just come one year and experience it, but to come every, year and be like, hey, I want to come back. It's a great time, and I really enjoyed it.
Now, last year you mentioned the socials, right? So you introduced some of the different socials, which from what I understand, from what I saw as well with my own two eyes, they were a pretty big hit, right? Where are you all with that this year in terms of what you can share, as far as, is there any new piece that you're introducing along those lines? It doesn't have to necessarily be a social, or are you expanding kind of the social piece as well? Where are you all in terms of any new pieces, such as the socials that you introduced last year? Where are you with that for this year's convention?
So for this year's convention, it's going to be pretty similar. Like there's not going to be a ton of changes from last year's format. We're going to continue to have the classroom sessions on Friday in floral A1, or floral A and B. We're also going to have the field sessions that are going to be just outside the exhibit hall. But we are changing up the socials just a little bit. And some of those changes are going to be, we're still going to offer a women in coaching social. So that's going to be, I think that's a great opportunity for, women coaches who are in the sport, and want to network and want to just fellowship and hang out with other women that coach, and just be able to visit with them, and so that's going to be, something that we're going to offer. That's going to be Friday night. Also on Friday night, Jamie Hartley with Quick Goal. He's been an awesome. Quick Goal's been great for TASCO, great for us. That's a great partnership that we have. And they're going to be doing a social that we're going to kind of, TASCO and Quick Goal are going to join together, and we're going to do a social Friday night as well. And so some of this, this is going to be kind of a newer thing, to where we're going to meet downstairs in, I think it's called the Garden K room, which is just outside of the lounge bar area.
Gotcha.
It's going to be, there's like a separate room. It's got some pool tables and things in it, but we're going to be down there with Quick Goal hanging out. And so that's going to be another good time, just so that way coaches can meet up after the sessions, come over, visit, get to talk to Jamie about Quick Goal and all that they can do and help out with your program, but also just get to visit with other coaches and, and get to, figure out, hey, what are you guys doing different this year? Hey, how's your team looking? Or just tell me about life, catch up, tell me about the family. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. And then, as far as, every other thing, is pretty much looking the same that we've done from years past. But, I'm really excited about the slate of clinicians that we have. I mean, just
Right.
being real excited about that. It's going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And so something I need to mention, because I haven't mentioned it the last 2 years, and well, year one, I didn't know, excuse me. And leading up to last year when I had Jared on here, I just forgot to mention it, but excuse me, the number one question that I get is like, hey, we know you're there. We know the podcast is there, but where are you? Right.
Yeah.
So I got to mention that we're working on having additional signage this year. So you can say, hey, this is where they keep the podcast guy. Right. So we will have a studio there. So if you are familiar with the Moody Gardens layout in terms of the convention outside of the exhibit hall, if you're coming out of the exhibit hall, walking towards the escalators, directly across from the escalators, there is an area that looks almost like a concession stand that's closed. We are right around that corner there. We're not in the concession stand, but right around the corner there is a separate office room that we use as a studio. That is our actual broadcast studio during the during the convention. So if we're not interviewing anybody, which we plan on interviewing lots and lots and lots of guests, different coaches, certain clinicians, speakers. But either way, you're more than welcome to go in there and watch us in action as we're interviewing somebody, or just stick your head in there, say hi, and would looking forward to, just as you mentioned, Coach, fellowship, connecting with coaches, because I feel the best part about all of this is where we learn the most. We have great speakers, we have great clinicians, but we just sharing bits and pieces with each other, I feel, is where we always learn the most, right, from our fellow colleagues, fellow coaches. So, and it's always great. So for the podcast to be able to be a small part of it, we're humbled, we're grateful to be able to be associated with and partnered with TASCO, and we thank you for having us, Coach.
Man, we thank you, Hector. You guys in the 50/50 podcast, you guys have done a great job. We really appreciate the partnership. It's been good just to be able to have you on site at the convention. And like you said, interviewing clinicians, interviewing, whether it's going to be other board members or it's just going to be attendees, right? Other coaches that are there, getting their opinion, talking to them about different things, chopping it up. So it's been really, really beneficial for you to be able to get the word out, and I think people are starting to see that, I think here in Texas, sometimes we take for granted that we have this convention, and the size of it. But the reality is that this is a special thing. Like if you go to other states, they might have a convention, they might not. And if they do, they're not to this magnitude. And so it's just goes to show you, how important this event is for TASCO. For all the years in the past, how important it's been, to focus on coaches, to be able to focus on, continuing that coach's education, to give them the tools that they need to be successful heading into their seasons. And so for you to help us get the word out, man, we really appreciate that.
Yeah. No, likewise. Grateful to be a part of it. And this year, if you see me around, say hi. I plan on I talk with a lot of coaches that particular weekend, as do most coaches. But if you may be at a booth, you may be somewhere in the exhibit hall, and if I kind of pull up with the phone and just start asking you some questions, don't freak out. It's just me. Just kind of tell us about the experience, right? And now, if I don't have a phone in my hand or we're not talking with the camera on, that's just Coach Cano talking with you off the record. I know sometimes some of the coaches are like, is this on the record? Are you interviewing me here? I said, no, I let you know that well in advance. So, so look forward to doing some on the spot, impromptu little mini interview sessions as well. So looking forward to it. So we transition here, Coach. Why should people, right? Maybe people have heard about the convention, because you're right. This is the outside of the United Soccer Coaches Convention. This is that next largest soccer coaches convention in the country, and the largest in the country. All right, at the high school level, high school coaches convention. in terms of soccer, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it is a special experience. It is really awesome to experience, to go there. The guests, I felt like last year's guests were just, your speakers, your clinicians were just next level, right? And that was overwhelmingly what I was being told as well. So the people that have heard of the convention, or maybe they've gone once, maybe it was pre-pandemic, maybe it was 3 years ago, why do people need to consider not only going to the convention, but joining TASCO?
That's a great question. I think, to start off, I think just being a member of TASCO, that's the word, that's the place to start. And so just being a member of TASCO is going to be one of those things that, it just comes with a whole bunch of different benefits. And so, I mean, from those, being a member gets you, access to, we have a great partnership with Sports Session Planner. And they have a great product as far as the software and the online platform to be able to put in your training sessions, or if you just want to use global library. And you might be the coach that's like, hey, I don't want to put in or plan or create my own sessions. I just want to be able to get ideas on finishing, or I want to get ideas on transitioning, or pressing, whatever the topic may be. And you can go into the global library, and then boom, there it is. I mean, and there's all these different sessions that are on there that different coaches have put in from all over the world. Sports Session Planner, based in the UK, but they've got Premier League coaches and different coaches from all over the world that put information in there. So I mean, just simple things like benefits like that. Also, just being able to network with other coaches, being able to take advantage of job boards or open date tournament. You have you're trying to find a tournament, or you have an open date on your schedule and you need to fill that. Being able to use those types of tools to help you out, with your schedule. And then, the coach's education piece, that's something that TASCO is, wanting to continue to develop is, how can we, educate coaches? How can we allow our coaches to grow and develop and to be the best version of themselves? Therefore, they can help their players be the best version of themselves, ultimately, leading in, a great amount of success for those involved. So I think, those types of things are your basic, key points there, but also TASCO is so much more than that. I mean, we have the voting and the awards, where you can vote on your players, for all region, nominate your players for all region. Then you can vote for different players, right? You can vote for your kids, get them recognized. We have academic all-state for seniors, being able to nominate kids for that as well. And so the voting platform there, and just getting the players recognized at the state level is really a lot more. It just kind of takes it up from the district level. So that's a great addition. And then the foundation, our TASCO Foundation right now, Derek Veerling has done a great job with the TASCO Foundation over the last couple of years. And I mean, now he's even got us a golf tournament that we did last year prior to the convention, and I'll get into that some here in a little bit. But the TASCO convention, or I'm sorry, the TASCO Foundation is there, in place to where it's raised money, and it's being allocated and helping, players. It's helping families of coaches. It's helping coaches directly. It's helping all these different people whenever they are in need or they have something come up. People just reach out to the TASCO Foundation, and the TASCO Foundation makes a monetary donation to them, or we try to get them help in whatever they might need. And so it's similar to a benevolence fund. It's a really great thing that you can give back to, and TASCO is able to give back to the community and to those coaches and the families and players that we're trying to get into, we're trying to reach. So I think those things are great. And then of course you've got the convention, which you mentioned, Hector, that it's one of the biggest conventions in the nation as far as soccer, specific, outside of USC. And so for that, it's a great event. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's got a lot of benefits. And whether it's, trying to sit at the field session, and you're getting, direct instruction and watching a top quality coach, it's got an A license, or that, coaches, in the Premier League, or, might be coming from another country. You're watching them, or it could be, we've got a lot of great coaches in this state, Hector. We do. And we've got top quality state championship coaches that are high school coaches, whether it's on the men's side or the women's side. Right. And we've got these high school coaches that are going to be helping, show their peers and colleagues, hey, these are some sessions that I do with my team, and so it's cool to be able to watch them and see them do their thing on the field session, and then maybe, slide off and go into a classroom session. And now you're sitting in a classroom session, and, we've got some great presenters that are going to be talking over, just about the mental side of the game, and the sports psychology aspect, and then talk about, just how to plan certain things, planning a training session, or how do you deal with your off season, and then, it might be, we've got Todd Wilden coming in that's going to be the new state president for TASCO for soccer. And so just being able to bring in a top TASCO official, from that position, and to sit down in a group and to do a Q&A and talk about, hey, the relationship between, officials and players and officials and coaches, and where do we go from here, and what does our future look like, and how can we make it better, and increase that partnership. It's going to be really special, and we've got college recruitment, there's a whole variety of topics that we're going to cover. And so I think that, you can get all the education and sit in. The hard part is trying to figure out which ones you're going to go to, right? It's like, you can't go to all of them, right? Yeah. So, you got to pick and choose. But then at the end of the day, it's, sharing notes. Sometimes what I'll do with my staff is I'll say, hey, you guys go to this one, and I'll go to this one, and we can sit back and just compare notes and kind of divide and conquer. But at the end of the day, you're going to get as much as you can from it. And then you're going to sit back and you're going to visit, we're going to have conversations with our colleagues. We're going to have conversations with the guys and girls that we've been coaching against and coaching with for the last however many years. And so it's just a great way to really fellowship together as a soccer community, really grow together as a soccer community, really welcome in all those new coaches that are green, that have never, they've never coached a sport before, or maybe they didn't even know they were coaching soccer until this year, and so, it's one of those things that you bring them in and you're like, hey, let's try to pour out as much knowledge and info as we can to help these guys. And I think the best part, and I'll end it with this, is because I could talk forever about it, but it's there's a little bit of something for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're the brand new green coach, if you're the assistant coach, if you're the junior high coach, if you're the head coach with 20 years experience, man, the old head, there's something there that you're going to be able to pull from and learn from. And so, it's a great experience, but I think everybody should be a part of TASCO. I am biased, of course, but I've just seen it firsthand on how it's really helped me grow as a coach and just as a person. And I've been a better coach, and since I've been a part of that, and since I've been involved with TASCO, and I think that everybody should take advantage of it.
Yeah, we got Crandall High School Pirates in here asking earlier, talking about Love Train Your Mind. Was also asking about when I was talking about the location where the broadcast room for the podcast will be there at the convention. Was asking if it'll be in the same location as last year, and yes, exactly. That's same. We're just trying to direct people a little bit better. So because it is real easy to miss if you're not looking for it. So,
yeah, it is kind of hidden back there, but I think it's a good spot. We definitely need to make sure that we let everybody know where you're at.
Yeah, the irony of it is like it's right there, right next to the the exhibit hall. It's just kind of tucked in around the corner right there, so it's real easy to miss. But yeah, and you hit on something there, Coach. Is that so? Obviously, I'm also a member, so when I can sneak away and not be interviewing, not covering something for a little bit, just that's the same thing, right? Whether it's a particular session on the field or just someone, someone speaking, a lecture, what have you, a presentation. There's so many. I mean, it's a wealth of knowledge. It's a great experience, and I've learned a lot. Here we are coming back for year 3 where we're covering it, but just in terms of even the clinicians and the presenters that we have that come on and join us, that we interview, right? What they share with us in that process. If you go back, you jump on our YouTube channel and you can go back to last year's interviews. I had had multiple great interviews last year at the convention, but one of them, what I felt was one of our better ones, our best ones, was Fred the Cranian, right, from the International Soccer School,
Mhm.
right out of Florida. And I'm glad to see that he's back. Hopefully we can get him again this year, sit
Yeah.
down and talk with him. But it was a phenomenal 20-minute conversation, and we hit on a lot of different things. So yeah, so if you get a chance, definitely, you should definitely be going there. And what I've seen, because the other conversation used to be, why is it all the way out in Galveston? Why is it all the way there?
Mm.
And I'm not going to lie, I used to I wouldn't ask that, but I would also be kind of like, well, okay, yeah, it kind of doesn't seem very central. But then when I saw the actual logistics of it and how well, one of the things that I got to compliment is the staff at Moody Gardens, and just how well they treat, they can handle this very easily, and how well they interact with the staff, the the board there, the TASCO staff, everything. It made a lot of sense, right? And then the weather is generally great 9 times out of 10, knock on wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been great as well being out there in Galveston, but it wasn't until I saw it for myself and seeing it from the other side, right, from behind the scenes, that it made a lot more sense.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, because I was guilty of it. I mean, I remember the days when we're down in San Antonio. We're at Blossom. We're doing the convention down there, and Moody is it's definitely a little farther away. I mean, you've got a lot of guys and girls that are coming from whether it's North Texas, from the Metroplex, or you're coming up from the Panhandle, or maybe it's out around Lubbock, right? Or you know even from down in the valley. I mean, it's not real central, as you would say, geographically for our state. But it is one of those questions. I get it too. It's like, hey, what if we did it here? This would be a little bit easier as far as transportation. And I would say, we as a board, it is a conversation that comes up all the time. I mean, it's
Mhm.
one of those things where we sit back and we do not take it lightly. Trust me.
Right.
I've been in this conversation many times where we sit around and we go, okay, how can we improve this? How can we help those as far as transportation, geographically, logistically? How can we get it more central? What makes sense? And, at the end of the day, there are a few key factors, and that one is Moody Gardens is one of the only places that is in Texas that can house us, and that can, at the end of the day, financially, they give us some great deals. They work with us. They really help us out with our contract, and then you look at the convention center. You look at, okay, well, what about the field? What about the exhibit hall? Can we do it all in a ballroom? Can we, you know, that being inside is like a great, it's just such a benefit, because you don't have to worry about weather. You don't have to worry about the lights if you're going late, things like that. And being able to do it all in house, and for Moody Gardens to be able to come in, and they have exceptional customer service, and they've been so willing to work with us. And so, that's one of those things where, we sign a contract with Moody and we say, hey, we'll do this for, the next however many years. And then we come back and we say, hey, contract's going to expire. What else have we found out through our research? Or are we going to be able to move it, to different places? And it's just trying to find, the same type of logistics, the same type of what are you getting, from that convention center. And for the same price. And so it's really more bang for the buck. And because Tasco is being financially responsible, by being able to move the clinic in this location, that just allows us as an organization to be, to not be under so much financial pressure with the convention. We can utilize those resources in other areas, in other things. And so it's been, it's been a conversation, like you said, but it's been one that we definitely don't take lightly. But we do appreciate the partnership with Moody, because they've really allowed it to come together and to make it, turn it into what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So we start shifting gears here, Coach. Last couple of questions here before, we still got a whole other segment we got to go to. So um, now I already had this question planned to ask you before we kind of got before we got the breaking news earlier today. But so
Yeah.
maybe I may know the answer to this and maybe I don't. But so what is the change you thought you'd never see in high school soccer? Specifically, obviously Texas high school soccer, but what is the change you thought you'd never see?
Man, I don't know. I think we've got two changes that, that are big ones that have come up, just for this season that, I didn't think that I would see them anytime soon, but I know there's been talk of, the mercy rule for a while. So to be able to be in on those conversations and to make sure that, we're listening to the membership and we're getting that in the direction where it needs to head. And then to be able to see, the sense of urgency from the UIL and from, to be able to do the diligence that they did along with us and the THSCA to get that to where it needs to be. I think, being able to see a mercy rule implemented for this season, I think that's a big change. But I also think that's going to be a good change. And then the other one I would say is the split division is going big school, small school. And so, for us, in soccer, been doing this a minute, and being able to coach, it's always been, hey, you've got your different rounds of the playoffs. So you got your by district, then you go area, then your regional quarterfinals. And, it doesn't matter. You're taking those top four teams and you're playing. Now, when you go big school, small school, you're looking at that split, and that's just going to change those districts up a little bit. And so, based on enrollment, now the playoff picture in the state of Texas is going to be completely different, on the boys' side and the girls' side. So I think that is going to be a very exciting change. I think that, but either way, with these changes, whether it's the mercy rule or, going big school, small school, there's going to be two sides to every coin. So there's going to be, we understand there's coaches that are going, hey, this is going to benefit us. And then there's coaches that are going, man, I don't really like the way that's going to work out for us, but, I think that seeing those two changes this season is, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, the piece on the breaking news that we received today, right, on on the mercy rule is based upon the conversations that I had been having now for going back to probably, I would say May, maybe the start of the summer, was everything was in all indications were that this was going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a matter of when. And and I thought it was going to happen based upon a number of factors. I just thought, and the closer we were getting to the start of this upcoming season, I thought it was going to happen next year, right? So the 2025, 2026 season. And then all of a sudden, boom, they dropped this on us today, right? So I think to see that coupled with what you just mentioned, that's a lot of change for Texas high school soccer from its inception, 1983, to, I guess, the last major change that we saw outside of adding 6A, right, was or adding a third, I guess you could say adding a third classification was what was it when we changed our penalty styles, if you remember that, right?
Yeah, so, from the 35-yard shootout or whatever,
the old MLS Wild West shootouts. Yeah.
Those are fun.
So probably not since then have you seen this much, for lack of better words, massive, drastic, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if drastic's the right word, but serious change, right? So, and it's happening all at the same time. So 2024, 2025, definitely going to be a historic year, right? When it comes to Texas high school soccer. And the other piece, as you mentioned in terms of districts, is it's very probable that we could see both Division I and Division II state champion at any classification, particularly 5A and maybe 6A, come from the same district, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That is very possible in certain districts when you look at some of these districts. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But question I have for you here is, what is right now, in your personal opinion, what is Texas high school soccer missing right now?
Oh man, that's a great question. I really, oh gosh, you stumped me on that one. I think right now, man, Texas high school soccer, I think it's really going in a good direction. I really do. I'm going to kind of bail on that, but I think it's going in a good direction. I really do like the fact, that on every level of administration, we've got people with soccer in Texas high school soccer in the best interest. Just because this year we're starting to see some of that stuff come to play, like it came out. You talked about the split division. I think that wasn't necessarily just a soccer, like a solely a soccer move or decision that was made. That was across the board, right? So you have to think about, if you pull back a little bit from it, you can go, hey, the big school, small school decision, that was for every other sport other than football. Football's been doing this, and so they decided, hey, this is something we want to implement in every other sport. And so that affected soccer. And then we come up with the mercy rule, and that's something that we worked on, and it happened to just come out and unfold, to where, hey, this is the right timing. We're going to go ahead and implement it this season. There's no reason why we shouldn't. We've got enough time to get it out. So I think the UIL, has done a good job getting this stuff out. And the changes, will be big, but at the same time, I think that, it's totally doable. It's nothing that high school soccer can't handle. I think for me though, just being able to see, and I know this isn't necessarily affected all over the state, maybe not so much in rural areas, but when you get into your more metropolitan areas and your bigger cities and things like that, we're just starting to see a lot of kids, are playing, they're playing so much soccer, and they're playing, with their club team, and they're playing, with their high school team, and they're playing with their, they've got a trainer, and then they've got, someone helping them out with fitness, or they've got, a goalkeeper trainer, or somebody that helps them with shooting or whatever, a skills coach. I think there's going to come a time where, high school soccer is going to have to get, to the point and say, hey, we really want to make sure that we're utilizing in trying to get and keep, a lot of these kids that are playing. I want to see all the kids at my high school that are great players, but that want to play high school. Like, I want them to be able to play high school soccer, and I want them to come play. I want to be able to keep those players. I don't want them to say, I'm not going to be able to play, or I can't play, or, for whatever reason. And I'm not going to get into all that, but, I think that's another thing, is that, high school soccer is such a special, and it's such a unique, activity within the school to be able to rep your school and to play for your school and things like that. And to be able to play with the friends that you grow up with, and that you go to school with, and to have that pride of your school, and to fight and compete alongside the kids that you go to class with. I think it's a special thing. And I really would like to see, us to be able to continue in the right direction and keep that, at a high quality, but also keeping those kids involved, and making sure that, we continue to do the best for them. But I think those are the challenges that you see, and some of the changes that I would like to see. But, it's wild out there. There's a lot going on. So it's going to be interesting either way.
Right. So last one here for you, Coach, first segment. You look in your crystal ball, right? 5 years from now, think back to where we were pre-pandemic 5 years ago, right, to now. Now we're asking you to fast forward 5 more years from now. What does Texas high school soccer look like, in your opinion? What does it look like 5 years from now?
Man, I'm kind of an optimist when it comes to, with our sport and what we're doing, but I really have, I have a vision of high school soccer being, one of the most competitive, areas of school soccer, and I think that, that's me being, optimistic, but also think that there's going to be other challenges that are going to come up. We're going to continue to see, a lot of things competing for the time and the energy, for all those kids that go to our schools. And so we're going to see all these other things come up for them. They're going to, ultimately, you hate to say kids have to choose, but, there's going to be some probably options where that has to happen. And then as far as just, public school athletics in general. Where's that going to go in 5 years? But um, you know, I feel like the trajectory so far it's been really good, and I think that coaches, you know, in Texas and within soccer, I think the coaches are really um, the level of coaches education is improving. It's getting better. I think the number of coaches that come in not only with experience but with passion and with the willingness to grow and to learn. I think those numbers are just rising. And I remember when I first got into this many years ago, that wasn't always the case, and so but I think that we're heading in a direction where people are really embracing the game. They're loving the game, and I think it's only gonna grow. I think that people are gonna really just really like just soak it up, and really work to be the best version of themselves as a coach. And I think in 5 years we're gonna be amazed at the quality of play we're seeing, at high school soccer, and just it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Great stuff. We are talking with Coach Chris Bezner, the president of TASCO, as well as the head women's soccer coach of the Wylie Lady Pirates. Coach, first one is down. First segment is down. All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Coach Bezner after a quick word from our partners, and then we'll dive into counterattack segment. Our second segment, we'll have some fun with Coach Bezner. We'll be right back. We're thrilled to tell you about our world-class partners, AR Shots, your go-to destination for exceptional photography experiences in San Antonio and across all of Texas. As a seasoned professional and published photographer, Alonso Ramirez specializes in capturing the essence of your most memorable moments. From dynamic team media days and live-action game days to heartwarming family gatherings and elegant senior portraits, he makes every shot count. What sets him apart? His unwavering commitment to deliver the best customer service in the Lone Star State. With major international and professional sports event experience, AR Shots' work speaks for itself. He is dedicated to making your photography experience straightforward and enjoyable. So why settle for ordinary when you can experience extraordinary with AR Shots? Contact him today so he can turn your vision into a stunning reality. Check him out at arshots.net, as well as on X and Instagram at arshots. Looking to step up your social media marketing game? Well, let us tell you about our great friends at Gipper. Gipper is a way that schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 4,000 coaches, ADs, SIDs, and club directors who use Gipper to create high-quality visual branded graphics for your program. The best part? Anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant design experience, you're going to love this as well, as you are what they call the power user, and this is designed with you in mind as well. And just for being a listener and supporter of the 50/50 podcast, you can receive savings immediately and save 10% off any first-time Gipper purchase. Simply visit gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/5050. And then there are our great friends at Global Scarves, both Bill and Kyle. They are the top providers of custom knitted scarves, beanies, and other fan merchandise in the U.S. All merch is fully custom with free design services and free shipping on all orders. They do so much more, guys, than just scarves. Blankets, beanies, you name it. It's all designed and all customized to your specifications and needs. You can contact them at info@globalscarves.com to get any free designs or quotes built out for your school, club, or maybe even a supporters group. Simply mention the podcast or use the code #5050pod, and they will be sure to take care of it. All right, and we are back. Coach Chris Bezner, president of TASCO, as well as the head women's soccer coach, Wylie High School. All right, Coach, moment of truth, counterattack time. We get to pick on you a little bit. You ready?
Yeah, man, let's do this.
All right, first one out of the gate. If you could speak any other language, what would it be and why?
Man, I'm gonna go Spanish, dude, just because I got a big love for the Spanish language. My wife is she has a degree in Spanish.
Nice.
She taught Spanish She's now working in the ESL unit with all our emerging bilinguals. But we got some history, man, where I've done some mission trips and stuff in the past where we've gone to Honduras before. Used to go to Ecuador, man. We've had a great relationships with some folks in Ecuador, and that's been a great time for us being able to take our whole family down there. And so I can speak a little bit, but man, I want to be able to just roll it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like just carry on those conversations, get in. Yeah, it'd definitely be Spanish for me.
Let me know. I mean, we can do the rest of this podcast in Spanish, Coach, if you want. I can do strictly Spanish if you like. So,
man, that would be great. I wish I could keep up.
All right. Next one. Something, anything, doesn't matter what it is. Something that whenever you come across, you hear, you watch, whatever, never fails to make you stop and laugh.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. Let's see. Probably, man, my kids, they are just
say no more.
It's probably going to be my kids, you know. My wife, I love her. She's so funny and silly too. So it's like they're always doing stuff to make me laugh and to make each other laugh. So they're always doing things like that I could be so serious and have the most insane day, and they're doing stuff over here on the side, and I'm just cracking up, you know, like, geez, it never stops, you know. It's relentless, but it's great. I love it.
Right. Morning person or night owl?
Man, I'm a night owl, big time.
Yeah,
big time. I struggle getting up in the morning, but yet I would, if I could prefer, I would rather be a morning person. Like I feel like you get so much more done. But then in the evening, it's like, I don't know, for some reason, I'm like, man, I've got everything done. Now I just want to hang out, you know. I haven't had time to do anything, so now I want to do it. Then I stay up way too late.
Yeah, I've always, it's been weird for me because I've always had, for the life of me, at such a young age, I just always had trouble. I'm not going to say trouble sleeping, but I was that, everybody knows that person that can just operate and function with only so much sleep, right? The opposite of the person that needs 12 hours of sleep every night. So that was me. And, and that's always been me. But then, of course, being a military man, I was used to, I am not a morning person, but I'm an early riser, right? So there's a difference. There's a big difference there. So internally, I just, you know, 7 a.m., you know, 6:30, 7 a.m. is really kind of sleeping in for me normally. But I am very much a night owl in terms of what I learned as my daughters, you know, I have 2 daughters, but as they started to get a little bit older, I found that the time I could get more work done was in the evening after everyone else was asleep, right? So I'm in here in the office getting stuff done, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of, I can never explain it, but I'm kind of got the best and worst of both worlds when it comes to that, as far as early riser, night owl, kind of all over the place.
That's good.
All right, so next one. If you could do one or the other, which one would you do? Would you rewind, kind of go back in time, or would you pause time, current time? What would you do?
This is a great question. I love this one because I actually have shared this question with my team, you know, before in some of our meetings. And, you know, I come up with a different answer each time, but I really feel like now in this moment where I'm at right now, like, I don't know. I feel like if I could just rewind and go back, because I've got 3 daughters as well, and they're just growing up way too fast. And so my 2 youngest I've got one that's out of college, and I've got 2 that are now in high school. And so it's like, man, my babies are growing up, right? So if I could just go back, man, I would love to go back and just, you know, have some of that time again. You know, maybe even do a few things a little different, you know, but right. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, I hear you. I think, you know, having 2 daughters, including one that's a senior who plays for me as well, I very much often find myself, you know, just like I tell my players and I tell my daughter about savoring the moment, enjoying the moment. But the older I get, the more I realize, man, had I just known then what I know now, right? If you could just, it's just so much of that, just that wisdom piece, you know. So They joke around all the time as far as people being older, right? When they joke around, when pick on you, whatever, as you start to get older. But the reality of it is that wisdom, you can't put a price on that wisdom. So yeah,
Yeah, you can't.
I think I would go back as well. All right, next one. Go to karaoke song. I know you got one. What is it? The go to karaoke.
Man, I'm not the karaoke guy. I'm really not. Now my wife, on the other hand, she'd kill it. Doesn't matter what it is. But for me, um, I think I've sang karaoke maybe one time in my life, and it
Really?
was
Oh,
it was not a good thing. Yeah, I'm trying, but
all right.
I'm more of the I'm gonna sing as loud as I can in my car, in the
Oh, yeah.
shower and that kind of thing. But definitely not on stage, man. I'm not getting on stage singing in front of a bunch of people.
All right, next one. So you've heard of Guinness Book of World Records, right? What is, no matter how random, everybody's got just like the most awkward random talent, I feel like somewhere along the way, right? What is a world record you think anything that you would have a shot at beating? What do you think something you could challenge?
Man, I would probably say I'm pretty patient. I'm pretty meticulous in some things. In some ways, I'm pretty handy. I like to build things. So I don't know. It would have to be something like how many you know Legos can you stack in a like how like can you stack something up or the tallest tower. It's like the cards. I'm going to try to build something. That's probably what I'm going to try to do.
Nice. All right, sweet. All right, next one. Object you misplace or lose the most.
Man, it's my sunglasses. Like I try to always keep them on my head. Try to always make sure I've got a pair where I need them. And then they I'm like, where did they go? Like I'm trying to figure that out. Thank goodness I don't ever lose them. It's either that or it's going to be the fingernail clippers. Like you can never find a pair of fingernail clippers whenever you need them.
Yeah, you're better than me, coach. Who did I have on here? I think it was Brian Lee from Rice, right? The head women's soccer coach at Rice. I was
Yeah.
telling him, I think it was him. I was telling him there was a little stretch there over the last 6 months where I think it happened to me twice, 2 or 3 times over the last 6 months, where I was looking for my car keys while they were in my truck keys while they were in my hand. So yeah,
Oh,
true
man.
story. True story. All right. So I don't know if you technically count that as losing something, but yeah. So
You got too much going on, man.
yeah, something. I don't know. All right. Strangest thing in your refrigerator right now.
It's probably that weird concoction in a mason jar that's like in the very back that I don't know how it got there. I think my kids decided they were going to do some culinary experiment. I can't
Yeah.
tell if it's cucumbers or what, but I'm not touching it. I'm not opening it. I just keep pushing it back in the back. Let
Yeah.
somebody else deal with that.
Yeah. All right. Great. I got to meet your kids, man. I'm liking your kids already. Everything you're telling me. That's awesome. I love that. All right. Current book you are reading or kind of a two-parter, or maybe the most influential book on your coaching career that you've ever read.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, two-parter. Current book that I'm reading, it's an old one that I've read, but that I'm coming back to and have been, kind of diving back into it a little bit, breaking it down. It's a book called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge.
Hmm.
And it's a great one, man. It's really good stuff. It's one of those where I read it younger, probably, oh gosh, 10 dozen years ago. And now it's one of those books where, as I'm getting older, just in in this phase of my life, it's, trying to do, some good stuff for me and trying to dive back into,
Right.
how can I, you know, just, get to a better place. Right. And
Yeah.
just always, I think it's just like that self working on yourself, man. It's so good. So, I've just been really into that. Him and his wife also do like a couples devotion book that my wife and I have been doing. And it's called Love and War, but it's a really good book that we've been doing together. And then as far as my coaching career, I'm going to go with What Drives Winning by Brett Ledbetter.
Mhm.
So if you're familiar with Brett Ledbetter, he's got some good podcast stuff. He
Great
does
stuff.
he does some of those good things. But um, just being able to read that book and then to see him speak, at a live event, like we were very blessed to be able to bring him in actually years after I was read that first book. But our school district brought him in, and he was part of our convocation one year. And so it was really cool to see that application, not only from, having coaches up there, but it being applied to high school administration and to teachers, and the same stuff, all the same concepts. It was really good. But I think his stuff in that book has been super influential on me and just how I build relationships and move and kind of approach, my whole philosophy is through coaching.
Yeah. Awesome. Favorite number and why?
Oh man, favorite number and why? Man, I'm going to go with the number 5. And the only reason is it's kind of goofy and silly, but we call our little family, my family, we call it the Bez 5. And so it's kind of a nickname for our group. So me, my wife, and my 3 kids. And then just a side note, random fact about me is that I love to barbecue and smoke meat, right? And so I've got a smoker that me and my dad built just several years ago, and I created like my own brand and welded it on there, the Bez 5. So that's gonna be my favorite number right there.
Oh, so it's got a brand, huh? It's got the
People got a brand with it, man. It's great. It's got a registry. That's what I got.
You have to let me see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, ghosts. Yes or no?
Ghosts, no. Spirits, yes. Can I do that?
Ghosts? Oh, you're gonna have to expand on that one. I believe you, but explain that one to me.
No, I would just say like I don't believe in like the ghost, like the Casper type deal. I try to stay away from ghost type movies, but then there's also like a part of me that's like, but I do believe, that there is this spiritual warfare that can go on, and I'm all about, I think the spiritual realm is a real thing, and so that's why I say ghosts not so much, but spirits, yes.
Yeah. Any personal stories that you can share? Anything? Just no.
No, not really.
All right. I always like to ask that part.
Part. Not right now, not off the top of my head.
All right. Next one. I always love asking this one of coaches. So as a coach, not as a player, right? Not as an athlete when you were an athlete, but any game day superstitions or rituals?
You're saying right now as a coach as
a coach? Now as a coach, yeah.
Okay. Last year I had my only superstition was, when it works out, and so you got to keep it rolling, right? And so for me, man, I ordered Jersey Mike's, and I got my sub at Jersey Mike's, and I ordered the what was it? It was the number 13, I think it is, whatever, the club. And then, we had a great game, and then it was the next game, and here we go. And I'm like, man, that Jersey Mike's, I kind of hit the spot, and I got that again. And I ended up eating that same sandwich, and I ordered it the same way every single time all season long. And it was funny because after the season, I go into Jersey Mike's to go get a bite to eat with my kids, like during the summer. And they're like, hey, coach, you want the usual? My kids were like, dang, Dad, how much do you come here?
Yeah, the usual.
Like, man, you don't want to know. But I had to, that was my superstition last year. But other than that, man, I mean, really, I don't have one. It's just, are we prepared? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. So, all right, you got to start one, bench one, and cut one. Okay. So we're going to look at some different GOATs here from different sports. Start, bench, or cut. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, and Lionel Messi. You got to start, bench, and cut. Who you starting, who you benching, who you cutting. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Lionel Messi.
Man, this is tough. This is real tough. It's going to be very controversial, I think. But my answer is going to be, I think I'm starting Messi. I think, I'm going to bench MJ and I'm cutting Tom Brady, but I think
Okay.
that's the way I'm going to do this.
All right. So you're cutting. Well, no, I guess Lionel has the most titles. I was going to say, but yeah, true. All right, interesting. So start Messi, bench.
Yeah.
You're benching Jordan, and you're cutting Tom.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Favorite sports movie and why?
Oh gosh. Favorite sports movie. Oh man, you're gonna stump me on this one.
You don't have a go-to. You don't have one.
Man, I love Hoosiers. It's a great show. I like that. Friday Night Lights. That's another good one.
Yeah, you just named two of my three because I kind of have a
Oh,
little three-headed monster. You just named two.
yeah, okay, yeah, those two. I mean, they're great. I like those. I like those shows. There's another one that's it's kind of goofy. It's gonna sound real dorky. It's not a big box office hit, but it's a show called Victory. Way back in the day, Sylvester Stallone played the
Oh
goalkeeper.
yeah, yeah.
You got Pelé out there running
Yeah.
around. Franz Beckenbauer. I mean, you got some big names. I mean, that was a fun watch. It's kind of silly, but that one's a fun one. Miracle is a great show.
Yeah.
I like that one as well. But
Yeah. That's of those four movies you just named, those three of them are mine. Three of them. So Miracle, Hoosiers,
yeah,
and Friday Night Lights. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
those are good.
all right. Got a couple more here for you, Coach. So something you pretend to hate, but you secretly really love.
Something I pretend to hate, but I secretly love. It's probably going to be Taylor Swift. It's probably going to be. It's either Taylor Swift or it's going to be Dua Lipa. One
Oh,
of
okay.
those.
Yeah.
Some of those artists that my daughters listen to,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, this again? Come
Yeah.
on! But then whenever they're not even in the car and the song comes on, like I freaking know the words. I'm like, what the heck?
They're
And I'm
brainwashing you.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm the same.
yeah,
I kind of dig Dua Lipa I just know. Yeah, you know how it is. It's like you hear something so much playing in the background. Same thing with my daughters, and
yeah,
then you just realize it's like, oh, I know this beat, right? I know this. I couldn't tell you who it is until my daughters tell me who it is, but
yeah,
otherwise, but yeah, I'm not that much of a music guy to begin with, though. So I'm far more. Now, don't get me wrong, still listen to music, but I just a little unconventional in terms of what I like to listen to. And of course,
mhm,
shocker, I'm always listening to either audiobooks or if not podcasts. So,
yeah.
so a bit of a shocker, right? So, all right, last one here, Coach. Going to put you on the hot seat here. So, all right, finish this sentence. All right, the 2024 TASCO convention will be a success if.
Okay. I'll say this. I'll say the 2024 TASCO convention, it's going to be a success, if, we get everybody out. Like we really want to make sure people are there to see all the good things that we're going to be doing. So, we got to get people out. We got to make sure that people are getting signed up. I really would like to see a lot of people. I'll plug our golf tournament, man. Hector, you should come out and play, but swing the sticks with us out there on Thursday before the convention actually starts up. So we're going to have a shotgun start at 9 a.m. I think that's a lot of fun. That's something new that we've done. And man, I think it'd be, if that can grow. I think last year, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was around maybe 10 teams. This year, we've got pushing 15 to 16 teams. So, I think that is growing, and that's going to be a really fun event. But
Yeah.
we just need people out there, man. It's going to be a good time. And I think everybody needs to take advantage of coming and seeing it and experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want me on a golf course, Coach. That's I'm going to need 3 days just to play 18 holes. So yeah, they're making, I don't know if you've heard, they're making the movie After My Life on a Golf Course that's coming out next year. It's called Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh.
So that's about me. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, no, it's still for sure. It's a great event. Was it last year was the first year, or was it 2 years ago that was the first year? Which one was it? I always mix it up.
I think
Yeah.
last year was our first year for the tournament.
Was it last? Okay. So I don't know why I thought the first year that I was there was the first year, and I thought last year was the second year. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't play in the first one, but I played last year.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Awesome. Well, hey, this has been great, Coach. You've been awesome. We talked about a lot of stuff today, and then of course we had to acknowledge the breaking news that we received today from UIL in terms of the mercy rule that is going into effect this year for the 2024-2025 season. A lot of stuff. We talked about the convention. We talked about the state of Texas high school soccer. We talked about TASCO membership, why it's important, and of course the TASCO convention as well. There's so many great things. And the best piece, I think, is just TASCO is comprised of us, right? Of the professionals in our industry, great coaches that are just phenomenal people, right? As great of, because you're right, you hit on it earlier in terms of we have a lot of great coaches, high school coaches in the state of Texas. I know you mentioned some great state champion coaches that will be there in attendance and presenting, but I mean the reality of it is we have just the riches that we have in terms of there are a ton of just great, absolutely world-class coaches that we have in this state that have never been anywhere near a state title game, you know? So that's just saying, and I mean that in a great way, right? I mean that in a good way as a compliment just to the level of the caliber of coach that we have in this state. So yeah, I'm excited to be there again this year for year number 3. Grateful again, as I mentioned, for you guys to have, grateful and humbled to be there, for you all having me there. And excited, man, really excited. As we wrap up here, Coach, one of the things that we do in stoppage time here is we allow our guests, we give them time to kind of speak a little bit of what's on their mind, any shout outs, thank yous, anything they want to talk about or mention as it relates to the game. The floor is yours.
Awesome. I think, the biggest thing would be just to say big shout out to everybody that's been supporting me throughout this whole journey. I mean, this has been great. I've had a lot of great support from, people back at Wylie and within my school district to support me, through, taking this next step within the coaches organization to be, vice president and president now this year. So big shout out to everybody in Wylie and all my athletic administration and my guys on my campus and things like that. And just, my assistant coaches for filling in and helping me out, through me being so busy, for them to be able to keep it all together. It's been great. Also, just the board there at TASCO, all the mentorship that I've gotten from all these guys. And it's been so good because they've stepped up and helped me out just every step of the way. And, I'm not here, without them. And, definitely not able to do everything that I need to do without their help and their support. So it's been really good, to have them on my side as well. And then especially, the last thing for my family, just to be able to support me, it's been really cool because, it does take time away from the family, but at the end of the day, it's always, warms the heart whenever your kids and your wife, say, hey, we're proud of you, you're doing a good thing, keep working. We're excited for you. So, all those things come together just to help us, to do a good job. And, just really want to make sure that we're doing what we can to help, the members of TASCO and even the coaches that are, part of high school soccer in Texas, and they're not a member of TASCO, like even for them, like they still have the best interest, of them, on our minds. And we want to make sure that we're good stewards of the responsibilities that we have and being able to, to really represent them in every way that we can. So, you mentioned it, and I'll say this and to kind of wrap up, but we have great coaches in the state of Texas. Some that you're exactly right. They're awesome coaches, and they pour their heart and soul into this career, and their passion is to, to really shape, the next generation and to teach, from all their learned experiences, but they don't get close to that state championship, or they've just come up short. And, it is so important that all the coaches really work together and to continue to promote this sport and to continue to do what's best, for our sport. And I think the best way to do that is by being a part of being a part of TASCO and being a part of your coach's organization. That way you can use your collective voice. And for all those coaches that have a ton of that information, that knowledge, just, I ask, hey, come find me at the convention, just and for everybody, like come talk to us, try to find a way that we can get you involved, so that way you can help shape the next generation, through TASCO. And so, I'll be there. You'll see me out on the floor. We're gonna hang out, Hector. We're gonna have a good time. And then anybody else that's there, just if you see us in passing, this year, all of our board, Jimmy's done a really great job of getting us these little nameplates. So we won't necessarily be wearing a lanyard like the membership, but we'll have a nameplate and we'll be wearing, like the TASCO gear. But we should be able to stick out to where you can identify somebody on the board. But come up and talk to us. If you have any questions, we definitely want to make sure that we have that open door policy and we're available. We're here to serve you. So if you've got any questions, any concerns, you're interested about something, just want to visit and say, hey, just want to check out TASCO, what it's all about. Come up and, find one of us, and we'd love to visit with you and talk to you about it, and, see what we can do to get you involved.
Yeah. Outstanding. Well said. So before I give my final thoughts, Coach, one thing that we've been wanting to add a little bit more here at the tail end of our episodes is, so I've peppered you for an hour and a half now with questions. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving you the mic here to ask me one question. Can be about anything, whatever you want to ask. One question back at me, whatever you want. Go ahead. Floor is yours again to ask.
All right. My question to you would be, where do you see the 50/50 podcast going? Like, what in the future? You got, whether you said for me 5 years, you can say 5 years or not, but for you, where do you see it going, and what do you see it doing?
Yeah. Hopefully it's still around 5 years from now, right? I don't know. I think, this year, December 15th of this year will mark year 4, right? So next December will be so pretty much when the next season starts, not this coming season, obviously, will be year 5. So the fact that if you would have asked me almost 4 years ago, that it would be here at this point, at this stage, I wouldn't have believed you, right? Because the whole reason why we started it was for it to be kind of a launching pad to help unite, or kind of similar to TASCO, right? Similar minded in terms of a voice for coaches, to unite coaches, to provide coverage for not only the coaches, but their programs, their players, giving Texas high school soccer the coverage that it very much deserves, has earned, deserves, and needs. Mm-hmm. So to see where it's at, what it's become is humbling, and we're grateful for it. We tell our listeners, our supporters all the time, everybody that listens to this, that you all are the reason why we do it. And it's very important that we continue to share that, because it's not because it sounds nice, it's lip service, but because it's what kind of keeps us, it's our true north, why we're here, I think. And I'm just to be able to be a part of it, again, all of it, just to be able to be a small part of our sport and contribute to it a little bit. It's awesome. It's humbling. And 5 years from now, I have no idea. I think would I love to see it grow? Absolutely. Would I love to see it expand as a network? One of the things that we're trying to work on is ultimately having this expand into, more, maybe whether it be 1 or 2 more podcasts that cover our sport. Because I feel there's that much. Because when you talk about the state of Texas, right, one of the things that's clear is that we have, it was Jimmy Langford, right, who I had on here back in the summer. He made such a great point when we talked about how in most of our regions, right, particularly in 5A and 6A, some of our regions are bigger, right, than some states, right, in terms of just number of teams competing in high school soccer. So there's a lot out there. There's a lot of stories to be told, whether it's players, right, whether it's the student athletes, whether it's coaches, the programs, right, and to continue to grow this game, because what we ultimately want is more than just 3 classifications, right? So that's the other piece, to be able to grow that. So I don't know. Hopefully it's still around, right? But I would say, I don't know, where I see it going is hopefully being a bigger piece of the sport, the coverage, being embraced somewhere along the likes of just some of your other key, whether it's your key podcasts or your key coverage for other sports, to see it grow organically along the lines of like a Dave Campbell's Texas football, where it's hitting on multiple components, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
written publication, whether it's this piece which we clearly have down on the podcast side, on the audio side, but being able the various types of content, because I think that's where the independent media is headed. And as we recently found out, right, in terms of an election that just happened, is podcasts are changing the game, right? Podcasts really are changing the
Mhm.
game. So not to get political in any way, shape, or form on that. That's just to drive home the point of just the power of podcasts and where
Mhm.
independent media is going, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I don't know if that really answers your question. I kind of went out in a certain
No,
direction, but
that's good, man. That's
I
good.
think I think that's just off the top of my head. I think that's where we're at. That's where we're trying to go, I guess. But just like same thing. Just like being president of TASCO is, I have a program to run, my own program to run, my own girls program, and I love
Mhm.
my girls to death. And
Mhm.
then I'm also a father. I'm also, also a husband. So the same thing, an educator trying to make all of those things work. It's not easy, but like I said, for going on 4 years now, I feel like when I get to have individuals like yourself, just to name a few, right? I feel like it's just been the best seat in the house in terms of doing this and being able to cover Texas high school soccer.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
that's going to do it for us. I think my main piece for those of you that are out there listening are student athletes. We have 9 days remaining, nine school days left before the start of the season. All right, think about that. Right, 9 school days left. So make the most of it. Be prepared. I imagine most, not all, will be having their tryouts going right away, December 2nd, first day of the
Mhm.
season.
Yep.
Good luck to everybody. Wishing everybody the best. Get it done in the classroom. Be available, first of all right? Because it doesn't matter how skilled you are. If you're not getting it done in the classroom, availability is the greatest ability, as they often say. So get it done in the classroom first and foremost. So that's going to do it. So for Coach Chris Bezner, the president of TASCO and the head women's soccer coach of the Wylie High School Lady Pirates, I am Coach Hector Cano. Thank you again for listening. Follow us. Coach, forgot to ask you, can you give us one more plug, one more time on the upcoming TASCO convention next week, dates, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, for sure. We've got November 21st through the 23rd. Just come out. We're down in Galveston, Texas. Okay, so it's Moody Gardens Convention Center. It's gonna be a great time. We're excited. Registration happens that afternoon on the 21st, around 2 to 4, 4 o'clock, something like that. And then, but prior to that, 9 a.m., we've got our Tasco Foundation Golf Tournament. Love to have you just be a part of that. So if you can swing it to where you can get down, maybe you can get away from school instead of coming down on Thursday, come down on Wednesday night, hang out. We're going to be down there anyway, and then wake up and then take part in the golf tournament. You want to make sure that you go ahead and check out Sports U, because we've been sending out all the information about registration on that, as well as check your email, because we've sent registration information on your email. But there's a link you can click on that link, so that way you can fill out the Google form for the golf tournament. I think that registration concludes on the 15th, and then you want to make sure that if you have to go ahead and just sign up and register for the convention, that's okay. You can bring your money and pay on site whenever you sign up and walk up. But that's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're really really excited about the slate of convention clinicians that we have.
Yeah.
We're really excited about the vendors that we have. We have a lot of vendors this year, and just to be able to see everybody. Like I said, it's going to be another production. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on, but it's first and foremost, it's going to be a great time to get to wind down a little bit, brainstorm, talk about all the good things that you want to implement this season, and right before we kick off and take a break, and man, next thing you know, it'll be January, and we're starting tournaments, and then after that, here we are, and we've made the turn in district, and state tournament's going to roll up. So
Yeah.
it's going to be good.
It'll be a historic season for sure. Lots of changes, tons of changes. So definitely looking forward to it. Get out there. If you have not registered already, please do so. Definitely owe it to yourself, your fellow coaches, coaching staff. Get out there, go to the convention, sign up to become a member if you are not already, because there are so many other benefits to your student athletes. All right. They reap the rewards of so many additional things just by you being a member. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead, get that done, and register for the convention. Would love to see you all there. Definitely looking forward to touching base with a lot of coaches there as well. So that is going to do it again. So reminder, you can listen to the audio version of this podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. All right. Just look us up. We're on there. The 50/50 podcast. Go on there. Give us a rating. All right. Give us, if you think we're great, tell us we're great. If you think we stink, send all of those messages over to Coach Bezner. Right. Okay. Not me. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, make sure you can find us on Twitter X, as we call it, at 50_50 podcast, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube. Go on there, subscribe, sign up for the notifications, hit that bell. You'll get a notification every time we go live, which is 99% of the time, because that is what we do. We go live with just about all of our content. So again, for Coach Bezner, president of TASCO and the head women's soccer coach of the Wylie Lady Pirates, I am Coach Hector Cano, and thank you for everything you do. And you know what to do. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.